Okay, hello. I forgot to mute my phone. So I just muted my phone so that I can chat with you for a few minutes. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. How's your Tuesday going? I hope you're having a terrific Tuesday. Let me know how you're doing. So, speaking of how are you doing, how things are going in your day, I want to take a moment because relationships are important, but sometimes they stress us out. And sometimes they keep stressing us out. They don't seem to get any better. Think about it, I know I can think about it and come up with at least one person. I'm pretty sure I can come up with more than one. But think about it. Is there anyone who's ever just on your last nerve? Or maybe every time you meet someone new in like a dating relationship, it starts off really great. Let me go back a little bit. Let me just introduce myself so you know who I am, because I've been more active here on YouTube. So my name is Beth Brown. I am a professional photographer and I am a Christian confidence coach. And yes, I help people feel confident and create and map out the lives that they are looking to have, right? The success stories for their lives, both in a visual way through photography and also in a very practical way, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, right? The mind, body, and spirit, right? So I'm help people map out those transitions, those changes they need to make. And so I am not a relationship coach, but in our healing, in being confident, our relationships are very tightly connected with our confidence from birth, right? I was reading an article yesterday that babies are programmed, their brains are very well developed actually when they are born. And studies have shown on babies' brains that have been only like maybe 7 days old that their brains are really active and looking to recognize places and people's faces in particular, to have that facial recognition. So from literally birth, but if you want to go back from before birth, we're literally connected to other people, right? In our mother's wombs, we are connected literally directly to our mother for our life, right? Through the umbilical cord. And then we come out into the world, the cord is cut. And now as babies, we are looking around to see who we recognize, right? So we are, from the moment we are here on planet Earth, looking to connect, looking for relationships with others, and how those experiences go with us from literally birth, or even pre-birth, right, to the moment we transition and leave planet Earth, to go where we're going to go for eternity. We are in relationship with others. And if we have relationships that are not so great, then our stress level increases, right? And that's what I wanted to talk to you about, because a lot of times we experience unnecessary stress in life because our relationships keep stressing us out. And it could be the same relationship that keeps stressing us out. It could be like a mother-child, mother-daughter, mother-son relationship, right? These can be very complex. A lot of times people talk about father wounds. They don't talk a lot about mother wounds. But we can be very hurt by our mothers. Those relationships can continually stress us out from like birth to the day our mom leaves us and transitions, right? And then it can be, maybe we have great family relationships. Maybe we have a beautiful relationship with our parents and siblings, but somehow our relationships romantically keep stressing us out. And we just can't seem to get it right. Like our partner, when after another. The next partner comes, doesn't work out. Why is this? Why do I keep picking stressful men to date? Or if you're a man, why do I keep picking stressful women to date, right? What is going on with you? So if you are someone, it could be even work related. You always are picking a job, and every time you get to that job, you think it's going to be great. And a couple weeks into it, maybe even a couple months into it, you're like, oops, I made a mistake. I should have not taken this job. This was a bad career move. So that's what I want to speak with you about today. I want to share 3 things that you might not be doing that are causing you to get stressed out in life. And of course, when we know what not to do, then a lot of times we know exactly what to do. Sometimes we're like, I don't know what to do. Well, let's look at what not to do first and then do the opposite of that. Sometimes that actually helps clarify things for us. So, number 1 thing that may be, well, I don't know. I'm not going to do these actually in rank order. So I'm going to go through these in, they're not in order of priority. But this first thing might be what is causing you to continually be stressed out and finding yourself in stressful relationship situations. 1, not doing new things. So I can't remember if it's Einstein or whoever it is. It says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, right? Well, if I am constantly meeting people who are not like floating my boat, so to speak, not my cup of tea, they're stressful, they're negative, they're this or that. I'm always saying, oh, my cutoff game is on point. I've got a great cutoff game. Why do I have all these people in my life who I need to cut off? Where am I going? Where am I collecting these people from? And it could be in your family. And in that case, right, we are born into our family. We don't get to choose who we are born, to my knowledge anyway, we don't get to choose who we're born into. But in terms of our friendships, in terms of our business relationships, in terms of our career relationships, if you are on a professional, you more corporate or day job, which is fine. I am an entrepreneur. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, so I always give like the business example. But wherever you are professionally, that's continually those relationships, those things are continually stressing you out. The dating's always stressing you out. You've got this friend who backstabbed you, this friend who you can't trust. That. Well, where are you meeting these people? Are you always going to the same type of social events? Are you always going to the same locations? So try something new, go someplace different, because I guarantee you, if you step outside of what you're used to, say, for example, you always go to, well, coffee houses are a good example, right? Because coffee houses kind of attract different types of crowds. You always go to the same one. Go to a different one. You'll see exactly how that can be different. You could have different types of people that are hanging out, right? You could have like a hipster crowd in one type of coffee shop, and you could go to a different coffee shop and you could find more of a creative and entrepreneurial mindset, or you could find a more like corporate mindset, right? Depending on the neighborhood that you're hanging out in, depending on the specific location and like how that attracts their clients, could literally just something as simple as where you go to get your latte in the morning or evening, or maybe you don't drink latte and maybe you drink hot chocolate, maybe you drink tea. It's just an example, right? But wherever you're having to go on your just daily routines, switch it up just a little bit. You'll meet different people. You'll be in a different situation, a different setting. Guess who's going to be there? New people for you to not even have maybe as a friend, but for you to just smile at, say, hey, and for them to smile back at you and say, hey, and that could be it. And that's like a break out of your normal routine, your normal rut of like always seeing the same old people or the same types of people who you're trying to get away from because they're stressing you out. But different things, try different things. um Try going to different types of concerts or different museums or the library or a bookstore or going to different places. Pick up a new hobby, go to Eventbrite, right? I'm giving you all these solutions. But find places where you are not seeing the same people or the same um should I say culture of people? Yeah, same culture of people. And I don't mean culture in terms of like culture as in like food or any of that, like what we think about cultural heritage, right? Like I'm Ukrainian. So like I don't mean like Ukrainian culture. I'm talking about like the culture of how people think, the culture of how people do business, the culture of how people date and get to know each other, right? There's different groups. There's a woman who I follow on Instagram, and she has a culture that she's built around people who are choosing to practice abstinence until they are married, right? That's a culture. So that's the type of thing that I'm saying in terms of culture, right? So say you were always like, I'm so tired of like every single date I'm going on, a man saying, expecting that because he paid for my dinner, now he gets, the jewels, the pearls, all of the good stuff. I'm tired of that. Well, maybe try, meeting men in a totally different situation, culture. It might be a little awkward at first, but try new things. So you may not be trying new things. That might be one reason why your relationships are stressing you out. Number two reason is you may not be forgiving people. Yes. Now, this is something that's near and dear to my heart because I wrote an entire journal, a book on called 20-Day Forgiveness Journal, and I'm getting ready to launch something very, very soon on forgiveness, right? Forgiveness for me personally has been one of the most powerful things that I have chosen to do that has changed my relationships and led to me not being so stressed out in life, right? Life is going to you're going to have a bad day, right? I'm not promising no stress ever, right? But what I'm saying is we have things that are unnecessarily stressful to us. Our relationships can be that, right? So, forgiving, because what happens is when we are holding things against someone else, we're taking that into the new spaces. So, for example, and I was just talking to someone yesterday about this. She was like, "Well, what's your story, Beth? How did you get into doing what you do?" And I told her about my story on who I attracted to me in terms of a situationship where when I ended it, then he, being someone who was interested in control, chose to rape me. So, how did I end up getting someone's attention like that? Because he was not a nice person. I'm a nice person. I thought I was a nice person. Here's what I learned about myself. There were things in my heart that were not nice. Number one thing being unforgiveness. I was thinking about this. This is like a little secret. This is the first time I'm sharing this here. I'm going to be sharing this also. I'm going to start talking about this a little bit more because I think people need to hear this more, because people a lot of times think, oh, I forgave this, or I forgave that. I at one time had told a friend, this was like years and years back, I consider myself to be a very forgiving person, because I was thinking of like different people and different relationships that hadn't worked out, and I'd forgiven them and it was cool. What happened when I was writing the forgiveness journal literally a year ago? I was literally doing this a year ago, was something didn't feel right. And God started showing me that my father's mother, who this past year was the first time in decades that I've been able to say she was my grandmother and refer to her as my grandmother. I always called her my father's mother. Yeah, I disassociated myself. I had not forgiven her for some things, for her flaws. We all have flaws. I had not forgiven her for things that she had done that I didn't like growing up as a child. So I am talking about like 30 plus years of unforgiveness in my heart, which was something I was not aware of. It was something that God had to point out to me. So, you know, um, when this woman that I was talking with yesterday, when my friend said to me, well, how did you get into coaching and doing what you're doing? And I told her a little bit about my story. And then she was like, yeah, well, how did, we all attract different things. And I was like, yeah, because I had in my heart, and that's where we have to take this. Actually, could be three. This is a bonus one because I hadn't meant to talk about this. We have things sometimes in our past that we've like shoved to the side because we don't want to deal with them, or because we're so angry about it and we don't even know how to deal with it, that we just kind of shove it, stuff it, and we just count it as gone. But it's not gone. So I had years and years of unforgiveness towards my grandmother on my father's side, to differentiate from my mother's side, who is really cool. I loved her. In my heart. And as a result, I wasn't taking responsibility for that. In our healing, we also have to take responsibility. Does that mean that I'm saying that what the man did to me when he raped me, does that make it right? Does it make it okay? Does that absolve him from responsibility on his actions when I also take responsibility? Absolutely not. No, he is still, responsible for his lack of self-control, for what he chose to do, right? It doesn't take away from his responsibility. But in my healing, I personally, just like you personally, just like everyone personally in their healing, if they want to not have stress in their life, if they want to not have stress in their relationships, in the present moment and the future moment, they don't want to keep going around the stressed out Ferris wheel, merry-go-round, so to speak, roller coaster, up and down, all around, right? You're nauseous from being stressed. That is not good. We have to take responsibility. There is always some part of us that can use an adjustment, I will say, or an alignment with where we're supposed to be. And in my case, it was unforgiveness. And I am sure that unforgiveness has made me choose decisions. I'll be honest. I'm going to tell you it like it is. One of the things that I chose when I was dating men, as a result of not forgiving my father's mother, my grandmother, was I would intentionally pick men whose relationships with their mothers were kind of iffy. I remember at one point I said, I don't want a mother-in-law because I don't want to have to go through what my mother did. I don't want that hell. I don't want to be bothered. So my ideal husband would be someone whose mother is dead. That is a horrible, ugly, awful, disgusting thing to say, right? I'm being straight up honest though. As a result, because I had not forgiven my father's mother, I made decisions. Now, I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever actually dated anyone whose mother was not present on earth, but I chose men whose mothers they had fractured relationships with, whose mothers I thought wouldn't really be that much of a bother because they would not be that close to their mother. And so I wouldn't have to really maybe do like family dinners or like go visit them on Sundays. Like maybe their mother would just not be present in their life that much. And so like I won't have to deal. It's a crazy, crazy, insane thought. But at that point in time, because I was not healed and I had not forgiven, I made some very off choices. And so this is the important thing. And this is why I'm so excited about what I have coming up with my new, I will call it a program, new 4-week program, coaching, mentoring that I'm about ready to launch on forgiveness, is because literally my choice of choosing not to forgive my father's mother made me choose men whose mothers were not going to, what I thought would be a bother to me, would like get in my way, right? And I didn't even realize it. I didn't realize that I went decades, right? We're talking about my teenage years. We're talking about my 20s. We're talking about my 30s. For 3 decades, I made choices for who I was going to get involved with based on lack of forgiving of my grandmother. And I didn't even realize it. So when I am saying I'm excited about this, I'm excited about this because I think that there is freedom in us being able to, and let me tell you, these men were stressing me out. All of these men were stressing me out, right? They were not good relationships. They didn't even have a good female relationship with their mother for the most part. There were a couple that did. There were a couple that did have decent, okay relationships with their moms, but I'm talking about for the most part. These men are all stressing me out. And so, they had gotten off on a rocky start with a woman, and I'm a woman. And so now the rockiness is going to continue. And this is why we have to be very careful about forgiving. And I'm excited to be working with people to help them forgive and even get into thinking about, where am I overlooking? Where am I not forgiving? Where have I overlooked it? Where have I forgotten? Because not forgiving can lead to us being all stressed out in our relationships and possibly subconsciously, without even realizing the repercussions of it, choosing the wrong partners. Okay, that's 2. Number 3. The third reason why you might be stressed out in your relationships is because you're not giving yourself personal time boundaries. We all need to be by ourselves. Even the couples that are like the coziest, or even the job or the business, that you love working in, right? It's your business, it's your baby. If you're like me and you're a business owner, you love what you do. I love what I do, right? I absolutely love it. But just because it's my business and I love it doesn't mean that I'm meant to be always about my business. Sometimes I need to take a break. So that's for all of us. It doesn't matter whether it's a personal relationship, a professional relationship, a business relationship. We all need a break. We need to take time every day. Doesn't even have to be a lot of time, but we have to take some point of time every day, and a larger chunk of time, I believe, once a week. And ideally, honestly, it would be nice. I lived in France for a year as a student, and they love their vacation time. They take the whole month of August pretty much, like a whole month, right? We need it. We need to rejuvenate. We need that time alone. And that's when we become creative. That's when we can get reflective. It was when I was alone and I did happen to be working on, putting together the journal, but I was alone in my little workspace at my desk. Well, in my apartment, sometimes I work on my couch, right? So not always desk, but I was alone when I was processing through things, right? And God was pointing out to me, you have not forgiven your father's mother, your grandmother yet, and you're writing a forgiveness journal. Get with it, Beth. Get with it. Let's go, right? I was alone. If I had been working with a lot of people, maybe in a chaotic situation, maybe I wouldn't have heard God pointing that out to me. So sometimes we need our alone prayer time, right? Prayer time is where we can get in touch with God, where we can like read. It doesn't even have to be a lot. We can read like one verse even in the Bible that, whoop, that's it. That's my direction for the day or for the week or the year or the next 10 years, whatever that happens to be, right? But we can like reflect, we can release things. It's so important. Our alone time. I mean, I'm an only child, so I am, I suppose, naturally comfortable with also being alone. And I, as much as I'm an extrovert and love being with people, I also do like my alone time, my space. I think it's because that's how I like grew up. I think I'm comfortable with it, but some people are not. And that may be you. Some people always need to have like a lot of activity going on around them. And if that's you and you don't like to go out for dinner on your own, you've never I had a friend, I was talking to her once. Well, she's still a friend. And I was talking to her once. She's like, I've never gone out to dinner by myself. Well, go out. I'm not saying every time go out by yourself, but go out and do something on your own and get to know yourself. Get to know what you like, what you want, right? Get to know what you think, because a lot of times when we're always constantly with other people, we're just bombarded by their information, by their wants, their needs, their desires, their wants, desires, but their thoughts, their point of views, and it can get really loud. So we need some quiet time alone with ourselves. And sometimes it's just good to take a break. And it could be, that's why, people have like their man cave, or women might have their like diva den or something like that, right? Because even if you are married for 50 years and you love each other to death and you're committed to each other, you just want that space just for yourself where you can breathe and relax and de-stress and enjoy each other a little bit more. So, quick review: 3 things that you may not be doing. And because you may not be doing these 3 things, you may be stressed out in your relationship. 1, not trying new things. 2, not forgiving. 3, not spending any time alone, not having quality time alone. So that's that. I am excited about what I have coming up. So please subscribe to this YouTube channel, because 1, I'm going to be giving more tips, and 2, I will be announcing very shortly on YouTube as well what I'm up to. And I'm going to be having a webinar and everything coming up as well about my new program. So you want to also, I'm going to put in the link, a quiz. And that quiz, you can click on that quiz. It will give you how you are stressed out or not stressed out in your relationship. It will also, when you take that quiz, help you to connect with me. All right. And when you connect with me, taking the quiz, you will also be added into my email list. And so you'll get actually the first announcement about what I have coming up, the programs, the opportunities to work with me, and for me to support you in writing the success stories that you desire to have experience with and live out in your life, personally and professionally. So yes, 1, subscribe to the channel. 2, take the quiz in the link below that I'm going to drop in the comments. It will let you know where you are on your stress levels in your relationships. And it will also help you to connect with me more easily because it will add you into my email list. And then you can be in the know and I can, help you and support you even more. So I'm excited about that. And I am looking forward to hearing how these tips, these 3 things, are going to help you be less stressed starting today. You can do these things today. You can begin working on them today. All right. So peace.